Hello my friends, John LaRuffa here with another straight up solo, and in this episode we're going to take a look at Woodcraft. We're going to see what this game's like when you play it from a solo perspective, a couple of turns, and then I'll give you my feedback on it and hopefully help you figure out if this is a game that you want to put in your solo collection or the one that you want to pass on. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look. Okay folks, and as usual, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and if you have, thank you so much. So let me explain to you what is going on. I've played a couple of turns. I'm in the beginning of round 3, and hopefully I can just give you a feel for the game. This is a very constrained game because there are only 14 rounds, and in that means 14 main actions and maybe some bonus actions, maybe. So you really have to get down to business with what you're trying to do quickly. Now, what are you really trying to do? In this game, you are trying to fulfill these specific contracts with the exact dice value and components they're showing. So, for instance, this is the contract that I'm about to fulfill. I want to fulfill this turn. And I have to do so with a 4 yellow wood, a 2 green wood, and a glue piece. And then I get all the stuff that's over here. Now, in this game, if you don't fulfill the contract in the round that you play it, it starts to downgrade the reward on the upper part of this. And to the point where you could get nothing from that side, or even start to lose points or lose reputation, which is really bad at the end of the game. Over here is the circular saw action wheel. And what this looks like, it looks complicated. It's really not. You are selecting from any of these little action tiles in this game, and you are going to, when you pick an action, you grab it from where it is and you move it to the next segment of the wheel. If that moves the saw blade over, it will reveal some new bonus actions. I'm sorry, just bonuses, not necessarily bonus actions, but bonuses that you get for taking that specific action the further back it is in the segments. You'll also potentially get bonuses from taking the action if it lines up with one of these little actions over here. And in the start of the game, these are all covered because you don't get any bonuses for taking the first ones. All right, so what are the actions? Now, you can do a lot of different things, and I'm not going to explain all of this stuff in detail, but basically what it comes down to is you can buy dice for money, for blueberries, which are the money in this game, from this lumber yard here. And the green dice are the lowest in value. Then there is the yellow, then there is the brown, where you have to pay just a little bit of a premium. And you basically pay 1 blueberry per pip, plus another blueberry if it's yellow, plus 2 blueberries if it's brown when you do that. You can buy up to 2 of those. That's one action. The other action, you can sell existing things, existing wood, and these dice represent different kinds of wood. Well, they don't really tell you what kind, they're just different kinds of wood. You can sell those back to the discard for double the pip value in money, and then you can choose a different color, level 6, from this area and get that into your place. That's a way to make money and also get a high value wood. You can upgrade your workshop with various things. So you can plant these trees, which you'll use to grow wood through this game. You start with a green one, and I apologize for the glare here. You start with a green one. You can upgrade, I shouldn't say upgrade, but you can add a yellow one, and you can also add a brown one, and those do different things. When you add them, you get an instant reward, but you also are allowed to then use that as a plant, to plant as one of the actions your wood, and that can grow to be more things throughout the game. You can also, with your upgrades, add different smaller upgrades, like a saw for cutting the dice, where you basically literally use the saw to slice the dice in half with regards to the pips and distribute it through different dice. You can also, with smaller saw blades, do more than just 2 dice if you want to split it even further. You use these little bits of wood here that you can, I think it's called splice, where you can add to 1, 2, or 3 pips to the die, depending on how much, 1, 2, or 4, pardon me, depending on how much you have upgraded your workshop. And then you could use these glue bits over here, this glue, to glue 2 different dice together that would add the values up to 6. You can't glue anything if it would be more than 6. It could just up to 6. And you can get some points too if you glue different dice colors together. Also, there's a little bit of set collection. Some of the rewards you might get will give you different tools. And if you put different tools in here, you basically will get the bonuses between the different spots. And there's a whole host of different tools that you could put down here. So if you had like a broom, for instance, there, and then another turn you put a hammer, you'd get that action right there. Or if you did this, you'd get this bonus. You must start on the bottom, and then you can kind of go up from there. The lanterns are basically like a bonus action tile that give you the ability, if you have 3 of them, you can spend them to take an additional action, but not move the wheel or do anything with the bonuses. And you can also use 1 lantern if you want to move like this tile, for instance, right here, which gives you contracts. But maybe you don't want to use the contract action. You can use 1 lantern to make it any action you want. You can also, if you get stuck, move one of these and just get 3 blueberries. You can also plant and take workshop actions with your helpers, which you'll get throughout the game, which will give you some potential immediate or all the time bonuses or once per round bonuses. But when you work them, you can get the bonus up here. Excuse me. What else? You get more helpers and you can get more contracts, and the contracts are over here. So there's lots of different things you can do. But what makes this game unique is that you have to fulfill the contract with the exact stuff it's looking for. So instead of a game where it's like, oh, I wasted a die. It's a 6 die, but I needed a 4. No. You have to figure out how to get that to be a 4 in order for you to use it. You can't just take it. And so a big part of the brain decisions in this game are getting exactly the dice you need with the exact number of pips at the right time to fulfill these contracts. And there's some serious pressure to fulfill these as soon as you can, because the longer you wait, it's not every round, but every time you do an income round, these will slide down 1 level. And the turns go pretty fast. So let me show you a couple turns here. And then also the AI is driven very simply through a hand of cards or a little deck of cards here. Really easy. So here on my first turn, I'll walk you through a couple things, or my third turn, I should say. First thing that happens is if I have any dice in this nursery area, they go up by 2 pips. So this 1 becomes a 3. And I can use this right away if I want. And I'm not going to use it quite right away, but I'll show you what I'm going to do. Then I take a main action, or I could take a bonus, or I'd say a free action in any order I want. For to not confuse anybody, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take let's take a main action first. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to demonstrate the use. Let's see. So kind of wish I had another contract, but that one's all the way back there. So I need this action. Excuse me. But I really want to push the saw blade forward, because as I drive it forward, I'm going to start unlocking some bonuses over here. So what I will do instead is I'll show you this idea. All right. I'm going to move this forward. I'm going to use this one. This is going to give me 2 points right away. So I'll get my 2 points, 1, 2. But I don't want to use what it says, which is either plant up to 2 dice values and take this, or run my workshop twice. Instead, I'm going to discard this lantern. I'm going to turn it into a take contract action. So you put it up here, because the saw blade is not there yet. You drive that arrow on the saw blade up, and you see what that did. Now that I unlocked these actions, giving me extra bonus points. And if I had any actions way back here, if I drew it even further, they'd give me even more better rewards. So I did that because what I really want to do with that action is I want to take a contract. So when you take a contract, it's free, but you have to play it right during this turn. And if you don't fulfill it also during this turn, it's going to be a problem. You can't hold on to it. So I'm going to have, at the end of this round, I'm going to have this brown die for sure available. But I'm going to do something a little bit sneakier. Okay. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this contract right here. This one goes in this 1 spot. So I have time to fulfill it. And it needs 2 green. And what I'll get for fulfilling is $10 or 10 blueberries and 2 points. So I put it over here in my slot for that action. And that's my main action. Now, For an auxiliary action or a free action, I'm going to use this to splice this 3 into the 4 that I need. And, all right, I'll show you 2 things. So first I'm going to do what I just said. I'm going to splice this, okay? So I flip this over. I discard one of these little this little scrap wood. I turn this 3 into a 4. So now I have the 4 that I need for this spot right here. I also have the glue, but I only have a 3, I don't have a 2. So I need to cut it. So in order to cut that, I'm going to cut this 3, pardon me, into a 1 and a 2. See how that works? So now I spent my saw and I've spent this action here to splice. I can no longer do those until we pass an income round. So those special moves are done for me, at least for a little bit. But now I can fulfill my contract here. So I can spend the 4, the 2, and the glue to fulfill this contract, which will give me all of the stuff that it says over here. So first it gives me 1 reputation, then it gives me a 1 wood in brown, and then it gives me 3 points and $6. So all good things that I need kind of early on in this game. Let's get the 3 points, 1, 2, 3. I forgot to refill this as soon as I took the card. Then I put it face down over here. Now at the end of the game, if I manage to get several of these reputation slots, if I can get some of these, then for every contract that I fulfill, I will take the number of contracts, multiply by the spot I'm on the track, and get all those bonus points at the very end, which is very good. So I'm trying to do that. My turn is over, and so now we do the AI turn, and these just go back to the supply. And the AI turn is very simple. I flip over a card, and it will tell me to move 1 or 2 or something, and also tell me to reset something a lot of times. So it tells me to move this action to the next slot, or segment, pardon me, and the 2 action over here to this slot. And they made a small mistake here because this is 2 not the same. It should be 2 times 2. So it's a little different. They have a couple of cards that don't quite match up with what's in the rule book and stuff like that. I think they missed some of those things. Then it has me re-roll. Whoops. Re-roll a couple of those dice in the lumber yard. And that's it. That's all they do. Very simple. We advance to the 4th round. Now I have one more round if I'm going to try to fulfill this beforehand. So what am I going to do? Well, I've got the 1. I don't have a 6. So I have a plan though. I can use this action right here. And this action, well, first of all, if I had anything to grow, it would grow, but I don't. I can use this action right here to discard this 1 and get double the value in blueberries. So let's do that. Let's use this action, discard it. Then I can pick up that green 6 because remember, I can add a 6 of any color, not the brown that I just did when I take that action. Now I've got what I need. So I got the 6 and the 1. So that means as a free action, I get 2 points. I get 10 blueberries, and I get another reputation. So it seems simple, but let me tell you, this game, it takes some serious planning to get those things off the ground. Oh, by the way, now that I got a few extra bucks, I can actually buy points at the end of my turn, and I'll spend 2 to buy 2 points right here. And what this is this is a way they deal with getting runaway money, which I think is a good mechanic. So at the end of each turn, you can decide to buy points for some money, and it puts some tension on you because the more often you do it, the better point reward you get, the more points you get, but then of course you're spending more money, so you got to be careful not to deplete yourself. So that's it. That's all I can do on my turn. Now we go ahead and we flip the AI's turn, and he is going to move these 2 things and discard this guy. So let's discard this helper first. The helper in this spot gets discarded. Move this down, replace. And then we're going to move this up to the next segment. Not this current segment, but just the next one. And then we also move the one that I just did to the next segment, which then spins the saw blade yet again right here. Now, it should be noted If there is a card still in this spot, the saw blade cannot advance any further. You've got to get this out of there beforehand. So this cannot move again until somebody does that. But look, now we have some really nice rewards there. 2 points in a 2 die of either brown or green. If you go in this place, you get a little saw blade, a little mini saw blade. Not one of these. All right, so he's done there. So now we go to this income round. So in the income round, we follow these steps. First, any contracts that I had unfulfilled, I'd slide down 1 row. Then I have to pick one of my contracts from my hand, which you'll start with 3 at the beginning of the game, and they'll go down a little bit each time. And I got to put it out there. And based on what I've got, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this one out here. And this will give me an opportunity, if I fill this, to put one of my cubes on one of these end game bonuses, which would then be something I could shoot for at the end of the game to try to get maximum points for something else. So I put that out there. Now I get income. Well, I never advanced anything yet on the blueberry income track, but I did advance on the point track, so I get 1 point for the income. Then, if I had used any of these cards, if they were one-time use, I would flip them over, but I also flip over all the things that I use, like I said, this and that, saw blade. And then we are going to take the actions that have the X's on them, and we're going to go ahead and discard those. I shouldn't say actions, pardon me, the cards. And slide these down and refill. Okay, same thing with here. Slide them down, discard and refill. Now halfway through the game, you go away from this initial deck and you go to a later deck with the bigger rewards, so to speak, that kind of scales for a more mature board that you have at the end. Now that I've done that and I've replaced, I would go to round 6 and I would take my action. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, it seems like it'd be easy, but I'm telling you that it takes some serious planning and some thought to figure out how am I going to get this and how am I going to push it. Now the game is a beat your own score for solo. The winning condition is 110 points, and I believe they say an excellent score is 140. I had a long way to go to figure that out thus far, my first playthrough. But I can see how with proper planning and some very intricate plays, you can maximize what you're doing. But again, you only have 14 main actions in this game. Maybe you have 1 or 2 bonus actions and some bonuses that come out from there for sure. But it is a very tight game. All right, so I think that shows you what you're dealing with here. Let's go ahead and let me tell you what I think about it. Okay, so that's Woodcraft, and you saw a little bit of the solo action. You saw about how it plays. What do I think? Well, first of all, solo-wise, the game moves along easily and smoothly with the solo. What the solo does, besides the beat your own score and advancing different things, is that there are some small conditions. You saw those orange cubes, which I didn't point out on the tracks. If they beat you to something, they take it away, basically, with regards to some of those influence bonuses, reputation bonuses, and also some of the main center endgame contracts. If they get to them first, they will take one before you can, okay? But pretty much that's it. It's really just moving things along. And it almost simulates kind of like a 3-player game, actually, because usually most of those actions will move 2 of the main actions, like you saw, forward instead of just 1. Not always, but usually. So it's really easy to do a solo game with this. Very simple. And also the actions they take are very self-explanatory because they literally match exactly what you're supposed to do on the board. Now, from the gameplay itself, I think this is a very good, medium-heavy Euro game. I think that it's fun. There is a lot of tension because you're trying to do so much more than you have time to do. And it rewards really strategic play to try to figure out, all right, I need to get these contracts, but I can't get them too early. Otherwise, they're going to drop in value if I don't fill them soon enough. But I can't just sit here and just fulfill a couple of contracts, so my score is going to be really low. So I've got to pull them in at the time. I've got to figure out which ones can I figure out how to fulfill without too much extraneous effort. At the same time, upgrading the workshop, trying to get points from the set collection of the different tools. And I should say the anti-set collection because you don't want the same tools. The managing of the economy, which can be really tight. How much do I spend into the economy to gain points versus reserve to buy things for the my workshop upgrades and the helpers, etc. You got the helpers there where I can configure different abilities that I have that will work for me during the whole game. There's just a lot of really good Euro stuff. Plus, the board and that saw is really kind of a cool thing. It puts some interesting spins on the whole. The longer you wait, the bigger the rewards are. And I would say in that regard, it does share some things with previous games from this designer, right? You've got, I think it was behind me. Yeah, Praga Caput Regni, which is right over there, which is a similar game. It has a similar feel with that wheel. It's a little bit different, of course, very different in the gameplay. But you see that idea that the longer you wait, the better it gets. But I would say that that's not the reason you play this game. I'd say the reason you play this game is because it is just interesting to try to see how you are going to convert the pieces of wood that you have into what you need, and how you're going to think that through and outsmart it and make it happen. I think that's really cool. I think it's cool that just like games of similar this nature, you have to really stretch to get those high scores. It's not just a point salad, because you're going to be eating a very meager salad if you just kind of, take it easy and go through the game without any real foresight. You'll have a pretty low score. In order to get to the upper echelons here, you really have to put some serious thought and some chains together to do that. And I really like that. I think that's for people who like a medium heavy Euro. This one will very much satisfy that itch. Now, is there anything novel and brand new in here? I would say probably not. That action wheel is just, it's a spin, so to speak, on things we've seen before. Bonuses, and the longer you wait, the more you get, etc. So I would say that there's nothing completely like mind-blowing about this game. So if you're looking for real innovation, I don't think you're going to find it here. But if you're looking for the game that rewards good play and strategic thinking and planning ahead, this game is going to be very satisfying to you. It's got a great and easy solo. It is beat your own score, so you're going to get that. You're not going to like it if you want a real opponent to play against, although it simulates the movement of an opponent. It doesn't really cheat or anything like that, like people say sometimes about games. It's cheating. That has nothing to do with it. It's just advancing things, but it's not necessarily scoring any points. So it's going to be all about you beating that 110 and seeing how close you can get to 140. It's a beat your own score for sure. Either way, I really enjoy it. I'm going to keep it for a while, hopefully for a very long time, because I'm just kind of getting into the feel of stretching those actions and getting the right kind of bonuses. And there's a lot of content in what seems to be a pretty smaller game or simpler game. It's not simple by any means. So that's what I think. I hope this was informative for you. Regardless of whatever you do in the future, as far as games, I hope you have a fantastic time doing it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Take it easy.